Over 1.4 million UK households are set to come off fixed-rate mortgages by 2026, and many of them will be hit with monthly payment hikes of up to £800. Repossessions are already rising, mortgage approvals are plummeting, and experts are warning a housing crash could be just months away. Could this be a repeat of the 2008 crisis? Only Weiss. It's not just one thing going wrong. Everything is happening at once. Interest rates are at their highest in over a decade. Wages are flat. Home prices are wildly overvalued. And buyers are vanishing from the market. Even landlords are selling off their properties in panic. Behind the scenes, the signs are everywhere, but most people don't see what's coming. What if the home you worked so hard to buy is worth far less next year? Or worse, what if you can't afford to keep it? In this video, we're breaking down the 10 clear warnings you need to know before it's too late. Number 1. Interest rates are crushing mortgages. Over the past 2 years, the Bank of England has aggressively increased interest rates to fight inflation, pushing the base rate from near zero to over 5%. While that may sound like just another economic policy, the real-world impact on homeowners is devastating. For many people who took out mortgages during the low-rate years, this sudden change means their monthly payments are set to skyrocket, especially if they are on variable rates or are coming off fixed-rate deals in the next 12 to 18 months. A mortgage that once cost £900 a month could suddenly jump to £1,500 or more. And in a time when everything else is getting more expensive, that's a financial shock few households are prepared for. These rising rates are hitting at the worst possible time. Wages have remained largely stagnant, and the cost of living is already at historic highs, leaving families with little room to absorb sudden jumps in housing costs. Even worse, many lenders are now tightening their approval criteria, making it harder for struggling homeowners to refinance or switch to better deals. As interest payments eat into household budgets, more people will fall behind, and the risk of widespread defaults and repossessions grows with every passing month. We're already seeing the early cracks. Mortgage arrears are up, and repossession orders have surged compared to last year. What's happening isn't just a temporary squeeze, it's a structural shift. The era of cheap borrowing is over, and the consequences are beginning to ripple through the housing market. As more people reach the end of their fixed-rate periods in 2026, we could see a wave of forced sales and a sharp correction in house prices. If you own a home, or are planning to buy one soon, understanding how interest rates impact you is no longer optional. It's critical. Number 2. Fixed deals are ending soon. One of the biggest ticking time bombs in the UK housing market is the end of low fixed-rate mortgage deals. During the boom years, millions of homeowners locked into ultra-low interest rates, some as low as 1% or 2%. But those deals don't last forever. In fact, more than 1.4 million mortgage deals are set to expire by 2026, forcing homeowners to remortgage at today's much higher rates. For many, that will mean going from manageable payments to sudden, unaffordable debt, in some cases, hundreds of pounds more per month. That kind of jump can break even stable households. The real danger here is that many homeowners still don't realize what's coming. They are living with a false sense of security, assuming their current payments will continue. But when those deals end, banks will move them onto standard variable rates, which are already well above 6%. For the average mortgage, that could mean an increase of £300 to £800 a month, money most people simply don't have lying around. And with inflation still affecting food, fuel, and energy bills, this extra burden could be the tipping point. Some will be forced to sell, others will fall into arrears. And with that, the risk of a cascade of distressed sales begins. What makes this especially dangerous is how concentrated the impact will be. Many of these expiring deals were signed around the same time, during the post-pandemic boom, so the pain will hit all at once. That could cause a sudden spike in forced sales, driving prices down and flooding the market. And as home values drop, some people may find themselves in negative equity, owing more than their property is worth. This isn't just a personal financial crisis, it's a warning sign of a market-wide crash in the making. Number 3. Wages can't keep up. While house prices have soared over the past decade, real wages have barely moved. In fact, when you adjust for inflation, Most people in the UK are owning less in real terms than they were 5 years ago. At the same time, the cost of essentials, like food, energy, and transport, has skyrocketed. This growing gap between income and expenses is putting extreme pressure on household budgets. And when it comes to mortgages, many are now committing more than 40% of their income to monthly repayments, far above the recommended limit. That's not just uncomfortable, it's unsustainable. This disconnect between earnings and housing costs is at the heart of the looming crisis. In a healthy market, wages and property prices rise together. But in the UK, house prices have shot far ahead, driven by cheap credit, investor demand, and a lack of supply. The average house now costs more than 8 times the average annual income, making it one of the most unaffordable property markets in Europe. For younger buyers and middle-income families, the dream of homeownership is drifting further out of reach. And for those who already own homes, every interest rate hike bites deeper, with little to no increase in income to cushion the blow. The risk is not just financial, but psychological. People under financial stress are more likely to delay spending, cut back on essentials, or even miss payments, creating a ripple effect across the wider economy. When millions are stretched thin, even a small shock, like a job loss, medical bill, or unexpected repair, can push them over the edge. If wages continue to stagnate while mortgage costs rise, we're likely to see more defaults, fewer buyers, and a growing number of homeowners who are trapped in homes they can no longer afford. The market can only stretch so far before it snaps. Number 4. Prices are overinflated. For years, property prices in the UK have been rising far faster than incomes, creating what many experts now call an overheated market. The average home now costs more than 8 times the average salary, compared to the long-term average of 4 to 5 times. This massive gap suggests that current home values are not supported by real economic fundamentals, but rather by cheap borrowing, speculative investment, and a housing shortage that has artificially driven prices up. While that created big gains for sellers, it's now left the market dangerously exposed to a sharp correction. When prices are inflated beyond what people can actually afford, the market becomes fragile. As interest rates climb and borrowing gets more expensive, fewer people can qualify for large mortgages. Demand starts to shrink, but prices remain high, a recipe for collapse. Analysts from Oxford Economics and the IMF have already warned that UK homes are significantly overvalued, and if interest rates remain high, we could see a correction of 10% to 20%, or even more in some regions. The issue is not just about affordability, it's about sustainability. Prices that outpace wages for too long will eventually fall back to reality, and that fall can be painful. The problem gets worse when panic sets in. If people begin to believe that prices will fall, they stop buying. Sellers, in turn, may rush to offload properties before values drop further, creating a downward spiral. Investors pull back, lenders tighten their conditions, and confidence vanishes from the market. We've seen this happen before, most recently in 2008, and the signs are now starting to appear again. When home values are built on speculation rather than stability, it only takes one shock to bring the entire structure crashing down. Number 5. Buyer demand is falling fast. One of the clearest early warning signs of a housing market in trouble is a sudden drop in buyer demand. And that's exactly what we're seeing across the UK. Mortgage approvals have already fallen by more than 20% compared to last year, according to data from the Bank of England. First-time buyers, once the driving force of the property ladder, are increasingly priced out, discouraged by soaring mortgage rates and unstable job prospects. Even those with deposits saved up are holding back, waiting for prices to drop or interest rates to settle. This growing hesitation is slowing the market, making it harder for sellers to find serious buyers. With fewer people entering the market, homes are taking longer to sell, and many are having to cut asking prices to attract attention. This isn't just a temporary slump, it's a reflection of deep-rooted affordability problems. The sharp rise in monthly repayments means that even if buyers want to purchase, they simply can't qualify for the same loan sizes they could a year or two ago. Lenders are becoming more cautious, reducing borrowing limits and requiring bigger deposits. As credit tightens and confidence drops, more would-be buyers are forced to sit on the sidelines, watching from a distance as the market begins to cool. This fall in demand has a domino effect. When sellers can't sell, they may delay moving, cancel renovation plans, or decide to rent instead, further weakening the flow of transactions that keeps the market healthy. Meanwhile, investors are also stepping back, wary of falling returns and rising risk. All of this adds pressure to house prices, increasing the chances of a market-wide correction. Without strong demand to hold it up, the housing market becomes unstable. And if the current trend continues into 2026, a crash becomes not just possible, but likely. If this is opening your eyes, let us know in the comments. Do you see these signs in your area? We put a huge amount of effort into researching and simplifying these topics for you. So hit that subscribe button. It's just one click, but it keeps this channel going. Number 6. Repossessions are rising. A surge in home repossessions is one of the most alarming signs that the UK housing market is under serious strain. According to UK Finance, mortgage repossessions have jumped by 35% compared to last year, and the numbers are still climbing. This sharp rise is being driven by homeowners who simply can't keep up with higher monthly payments as interest rates soar. Many of these people locked into affordable deals years ago and are now being thrown into financial chaos as their fixed rates expire. For some, it's a matter of choosing between paying the mortgage or covering basic living costs like food and energy. This is not just a few isolated cases. Thousands of households are falling behind on payments, and lenders are beginning to take legal action. The courts are already seeing a rise in repossession orders, which means more homes could soon be forced back onto the market. These properties are often sold at discounted prices, which pulls down surrounding house values, affecting everyone, even those who are still able to make their payments. As this cycle continues, it creates a feedback loop. Falling prices make it harder for struggling homeowners to sell, while rising repossessions increase supply and reduce market confidence. The most troubling part is that we are still in the early stages. Many fixed-rate deals will only begin to expire throughout 2025 and 2026, meaning the full wave of repossessions could be yet to come. If banks continue raising rates, or if the economy weakens further, thousands more could lose their homes. And once repossessions hit a certain tipping point, the damage spreads fast: lower prices, tighter credit, and mass uncertainty. It's not just individuals who suffer. A large-scale repossession crisis could be the trigger that turns a fragile housing market into a full-blown collapse. Number 7. Landlords are leaving the market. A silent but powerful shift is happening in the UK housing market. Landlords are starting to sell off their properties in large numbers. Faced with rising interest rates, falling rental yields, stricter regulations, and growing tax burdens, many small and medium-sized landlords are deciding that the investment just isn't worth it anymore. According to property industry reports, over 60,000 rental properties were pulled from the market in the past year alone. That number is expected to rise in 2025 and 2026, as landlords with buy-to-let mortgages face refinancing at far higher rates. For many, keeping the property becomes a financial liability rather than a source of income. When landlords exit the market, they often flood the sales side with properties, especially in areas already experiencing price pressure. This sudden increase in supply can push house prices downward, especially when demand is already weak. What's more, many of these properties aren't in high demand from regular home buyers, particularly flats and small units in urban centers that were designed with renters in mind. If these homes don't sell quickly, they sit on the market, contributing to a visible slowdown and giving buyers even more reason to wait for prices to fall further. At the same time, this trend creates chaos in the rental sector. As properties are withdrawn from the rental market, the supply of available rentals drops, driving up rents. This puts more pressure on tenants, some of whom are already struggling with the cost of living, and it reduces the pool of renters who can save for a deposit, further weakening the pipeline of future buyers. The mass exit of landlords is more than just a shift in ownership. It's a symptom of a market under stress, and it adds yet another layer of risk to an already fragile housing system heading into 2026. Number 8. Job losses are coming. One of the most dangerous ingredients in any housing crash is a rise in unemployment. and the UK is now seeing clear signs that job losses are on the horizon. The Office for Budget Responsibility has forecast that unemployment could rise to 5.5% by late 2025, driven by slowing economic growth, public sector cutbacks, and rising costs for businesses. Key industries such as retail, construction, and manufacturing are already feeling the pressure, with several major companies announcing layoffs. As businesses struggle to stay afloat in a high-interest environment, more jobs are likely to be cut, leaving families suddenly without income and unable to meet mortgage repayments. The link between employment and housing is direct and brutal. When people lose their jobs, their ability to keep up with mortgage payments vanishes almost overnight. Missed payments turn into arrears, arrears turn into defaults, and defaults turn into repossessions. This adds even more distressed properties into a market already facing falling demand and rising supply. On top of that, unemployed buyers are locked out of mortgage lending entirely, which further reduces the number of people who can step in and support house prices. In other words, rising job losses can pull the entire market down faster than almost any other factor. Beyond the immediate financial impact, unemployment also triggers widespread fear and hesitation. Even those who still have jobs start to worry about their own stability, leading them to delay major financial decisions, like buying a home or moving up the property ladder. This stalls market activity and weakens confidence, creating a self-reinforcing cycle of decline. If the forecasts prove accurate and unemployment rises sharply in 2025 and 2026, it could become the final blow for households already struggling under the weight of rising rates, high prices, and shrinking incomes. The consequences could be severe and lasting. Number 9. Foreign investors are pulling out. For years, foreign investment has been a key driver of the UK property market, especially in cities like London, Manchester, and Birmingham. Overseas buyers saw UK real estate as a safe haven, stable, profitable, and secure. But that confidence is now fading fast. Several major investment firms and private buyers from regions like China, the Middle East, and Southeast Asia have started pulling their money out, citing a mix of factors including currency fluctuations, political uncertainty, rising interest rates, and tighter regulations. As a result, demand from international investors has fallen sharply, and this is already starting to impact the high-end and new-build segments of the market. The withdrawal of foreign capital doesn't just hurt luxury property, it creates ripple effects across the entire housing ecosystem. Developers, who often rely on off-plan sales to overseas buyers to fund construction, are seeing their projects stall or shrink in scale. That affects job creation, housing supply, and even rental markets. In areas where foreign buyers once drove up prices, local demand alone simply isn't strong enough to sustain those values. As international money exits, prices in those zones are starting to soften, and in some cases, fall. This puts additional pressure on domestic sellers who bought at peak prices, expecting the market to keep climbing. With fewer foreign buyers propping up prices, the market loses one of its key support systems. And once confidence fades at the top, it tends to trickle down fast. Homeowners begin to fear falling values, buyers delay decisions, and more properties sit unsold. The truth is, the UK housing market has become heavily dependent on global interest, and now that interest is disappearing. If this trend continues through 2026, it could accelerate the broader decline, removing a vital pillar of demand just when the market needs it most. Number 10. Government support is drying up. During the pandemic, the UK government stepped in with unprecedented support to keep the housing market afloat. From stamp duty holidays to mortgage payment breaks, homeowners were given breathing room while the economy tried to stabilize. These measures helped prevent a crash during a time of massive uncertainty. But now, all of those lifelines have ended, and there are no signs of new ones coming. With the government focused on reducing debt and controlling inflation, there's little appetite for another round of large-scale intervention. That means homeowners will be left to face rising rates, falling prices, and economic pressure without a safety net. The consequences of this shift are already becoming clear. First-time buyers are receiving less support, affordable housing schemes are being scaled back, and mortgage guarantee programs have limited reach. In previous downturns, the government might have stepped in to stimulate the market or ease pressure on households. But this time, their approach appears far more hands-off. In fact, recent policy announcements have hinted at tougher regulations rather than relief. This leaves vulnerable homeowners, particularly those on tight budgets or expiring fixed-rate deals, in a precarious position, with fewer options and less protection. Without government backing, the housing market becomes more exposed to market forces, and right now, those forces are pointing downward. If interest rates stay high, repossessions rise, and prices start to fall significantly, the lack of support could make the downturn sharper and longer. Buyers may hold back even more, fearing no help if things go wrong. Sellers may panic, trying to get out before values drop further. And struggling homeowners may have no choice but to default. In past crises, government actions soften the blow. This time, that cushion may be gone, just when it's needed the most. The warning signs are everywhere. From soaring interest rates and unaffordable mortgages to rising repossessions, falling demand, and vanishing investor confidence, the UK housing market is under pressure like never before. It's not just one factor causing concern. It's a perfect storm of economic, political, and financial issues all converging at once. And while no one can predict the exact moment a crash might happen, the risk in 2026 is very real and growing by the day. If you're a homeowner, a renter, or someone planning to buy, now is the time to take action. Reevaluate your financial position, understand your mortgage terms, and start thinking long-term. Don't assume the market will stay stable just because it has in the past. History shows us that housing crashes come slowly at first, and then all at once. Staying informed is your best defense. These 10 warning signs aren't meant to scare you, they are here to prepare you. Now it's your turn. What do you think will happen to the UK housing market in 2026? Are we on the edge of a crash, or will it bounce back? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one. If you found this video helpful, please consider supporting us. We pour hours of research, writing, and editing into each video to bring you reliable, up-to-date insights. So hit that subscribe button. It's just one click, but it means the world to us. And don't forget to check out our next video for more must-know financial breakdowns that could affect your future.